name's Laura. Welcome to my channel. And what I'm talking about today is a raw vegan diet and tips and strategies to succeed on a raw vegan diet. So, first of all, I want to say that if somebody decides that they want to go on a raw vegan diet, it really depends on where they're coming from in their life, how difficult this can be. If somebody is kind of familiar with a raw vegan diet, or they've been kind of doing this on and off for a while, they may have a little bit of an idea of what this is about, and they may want to figure out why they failed at it before. What are the things, what are the pinpoints to why they ended up going back to a standard diet and they keep wanting to go back on a raw vegan diet, and so on and so forth. So I think that those things are important to figure out, is where your failures are and whether you're ready for this or not, or whether or not you actually want to go completely raw is something that you really have to ask yourself. Now, when I went on a raw vegan diet, I did a lot of reading and studying. I was a vegetarian for years, so I wasn't living in the standard lifestyle of eating fast foods and eating lots of meats. I did still eat some dairy and I did still eat some fish. I was on more of a Mediterranean diet, and I went pescatarian back to vegetarian, vegan. I tried cooked vegan, so I was kind of playing around with different things for a while, just trying to feel better. One of the reasons why I went on a raw vegan diet was because no matter what I did, no matter what I ate, no matter how hard I tried, I had underlying things that just made me not feel 100%. And I would do a lot of reading about people who feel so magnificent on raw vegan lifestyle, and I really wanted that and I hoped for that. But I was not succeeding because I had other obstacles going on in my life, other things in the way toward making me not be as sturdy on my feet with what I was doing. So I was not actually getting to the point where I wanted to feel and getting to the point where I was actually succeeding on this lifestyle. So when I did finally decide to succeed and I finally found the ways to attack this, I was 100% sure that I was not going to fail. So I think that that is something that when people just start any kind of diet, if you're not actually committed to the diet fully, you're just kind of like, you've got a half a foot into it and another half a foot out of it, and sooner or later you're going to go back to what is comfortable for you, which is the prior lifestyle. So in order to succeed at this, number one has to be that you are ready for it. Make sure that you know and you are prepared for what needs to be done. So I think what really needs to be done foremost is to go through your kitchen and to get rid of all the processed foods. Anything that's in boxes, anything that has ingredients with 10 different ingredients you can't pronounce, things that you're tempted to eat, or that you just need to get rid of these things. And I think that that's a good start. So some people have said to me, Laura, it's easier said than done. I mean, where do you really start? What do you eat? They'll say to me. How do you stay full? How do you just eat all these salads? Well, one of the reasons why I'm able to stick on salads as much as I do, because I probably eat salads 5 or 6 days a week for my supper, and how I don't get tired of salads, and how I afford all the nuts and the seeds. And everybody in the beginning, they want all these nuts and seeds and all of these things. So I do think it's important to make sure that to succeed on this, that you have to find things that you like to eat, that you enjoy eating, and find them in the healthier versions. So if you were somebody who ate ice cream all the time, and now you're not going to be eating dairy, you need to keep frozen bananas in the refrigerator all the time. You have to realistically either have some kind of blender or some kind of thing to make your ice cream. I wouldn't even start doing anything until you have the necessities that you need. And it doesn't have to be really expensive, because sometimes people will say, well, I can't afford a Vitamix right now. I can't afford to buy all these nuts and seeds. I can't. Well, you have to prioritize some. I know that things are expensive, but people have to eat anyway. So what would you normally buy for your food list? You have to get your staples and get the things important, raw food staples, things that you are going to need in order to be able to live on this raw vegan lifestyle. And you may not have to have a blender right away. One thing that I think is great to have, if you can afford the little blender, the cup-size blender, because you probably want to make things like dressings and simple things like that. Stuff like that is realistic to be able to go and spend maybe $100 on a little Ninja or one of the little NutriBlends, or, you know, those small little cup-size things that aren't going to cost hundreds of dollars, but it's going to be something that you're going to need to use. And you might not want to splurge and buy cashews and all the very expensive nuts and all of these things. But one of the things that I think really can help is if you just picture what kind of way that you want to eat on a regular basis. What are you going to enjoy eating, and what is the simplest way to minimize your grocery list to start? So I think one of the greatest things to start out with, if I wasn't even able to sprout yet, and I wasn't able to do anything that I was going to have to invest in jars, invest in all these things, I would invest in one of those small blenders, and I would invest in some different seeds and things that you can use just to make some salad dressings. Stuff that I have always liked to have is hemp seeds. Hemp seeds are something that you can get at a pretty reasonable price, and this can last you for a very, very long time if you're making dressings. And hemp seeds make delicious dressings. And something like this tahini, and you would just use a tablespoon or so of it in dressings. Something like zucchini squash. I keep a whole tray of zucchinis, and I keep these things just because I'm in a hurry and I can't be making all these gourmet dishes all the time. I just need to have enough to put together. Of course, I have a lot of sprouts that I do, and if a person really wanted to invest in sprouting, I would say to start buying some bags of sprouts. Start off with little things like broccoli sprouts, things that you can sprout in the jars. I've done a video on that where I have had a few different jars and have had a few different things that I have shown people to do, and these are things that you can do pretty inexpensively. And if you just get your seeds and you get all of these different things together, you can easily just go to the produce section in your grocery store and get some fruit, some watermelons, some pineapples, and make sure that you have lots of bananas. and put them in the freezer and put other bananas on the side. These are things you're going to get hungry and you're going to need. So that's how I would start off on transitioning over, is starting off with little things. And if you're a person who likes chocolate, invest in some carob or some cacao. Get some of that stuff and start making yourself some freezer chocolate, because if you get cravings, you're not going to want to go to eat dairy, and you're going to want to have something that's going to satisfy you so you don't go back to those bad things. So I think that things like that are really important to succeed. I think planning meals is so important. Whether you're a raw vegan like myself who's been for 5 years, or you're one who's been for 20 years, or you're one just trying to start out, or you're in your first year, I think it's so important to always plan food. If you're a person who works every day, you want to plan your food. And the reason I talked about a lot of these salad dressings is because things like that you can put together in no time. I mean, you can stick it in one of those little cups and just blend it up. You have lemons. Lemons is something to keep all the time. You can throw in a lemon, you can throw in a zucchini and some hemp seeds, and put some spices in there, and you can figure something out to make a dressing, and just throw some spinach in there if that's all you have, and bring it to work. You know, you can put together your own little bento boxes. You can get those little glass Tupperware things that have little sections, and just cut up carrots, make a little salad dressing, celery, and just put that together and grab you some dates and walk out the door. These are the things that I did so that I can make it through a day and I could sustain and not feel like I was going to starve to death, or not feel pressured like I have to run next door or across the road to a fast food place in order to be able to continue working through the day and make it through the day. So I think that these are ways to really help to transition over, is doing small baby steps and writing a list. Sometimes if you just write a list of things that you like to eat, things that you think is going to be the most important for you to sustain on and enjoy throughout your day, and be able to put together on the budget that you have. And whether you have to sit with your money at the beginning of the week or the end of the week when you get paid, and start off with what is most important and what is least important. The reason why I do these big bags of hemp seeds and things is because if you tried to walk into a health food store and you tried to buy bags of hemp seeds, nuts, and all of these things in the nut section, you would go crazy, because it's so expensive that and it's so time consuming to try to put this stuff together, and you would run out of things so fast that you would end up running out of time, running out of energy, and all of a sudden you will be caught up in a bad situation where you don't have anything left to eat and you're hungry and you're on the last minute and you've got to get to work, or you've got to get doing what you're doing. So you have to figure out what triggers your failures. You know, I mean, I don't know whether this helps people or not, because some people may say, I don't even like hemp seeds, or I don't even like some of this stuff. I don't even like bananas. I don't like ice cream. Well, you have to figure out what things that you do like, and whether or not it's going to be a workable situation for you. This person who told me that that was all that they did was eat a bunch of salad, and they didn't even put dressing on it, and they were just eating plain leaves and, you know, with nothing. There's no success that's ever going to come out of that, people. You have to figure out that at some point you're going to get hungry, and you have to fulfill these feelings of hunger, and you have to eat some fat. You have to have things like avocados. That's like a staple. for me, avocados, hemp seeds, and tahini, and lemons, and zucchini squash, and things like that are just staples that I buy all the time. And then when I buy my produce, if I can't afford that week to buy fresh kale and all of these really expensive things, I can go to more of a discount store and just buy a cheaper thing of spinach. I don't know if people have places like Aldi's or what their discount stores are, but you can buy a big thing of spring mix and you could put together a dressing and just grab some carrots, cut some carrots, and you can use dips and dressings on a budget. And the reason why I think that sprouting is so good is because you can get a lot of sprouts. Not only is it so healthy for you, but you can get a lot of sprouts. It's a lot of food. You could buy a bag of sprouts and you can have sprouts for the longest time. I mean, you can buy garbanzano beans. I have those in the cabinet, a big bag of garbanzano beans, and you could sprout those overnight. You can put those in a jar, turn it upside down, and those will sprout in no time. Stuff like that you can even sometimes do in a little colander and put it in a bowl if you had to. You can even almost sprout that way. Generally speaking, I'm just saying these things because there are things that you can do less expensive, and you can do them very easily if your mind is set to it. If you are a warrior in this, you can make it happen. No matter what the strategy that seems so hard and impossible to get to, you can make it happen. If your mind is, if you are just fully into being a raw food vegan and you want to succeed, you will make it happen. You will find a way. But these are just small tips and strategies that I have done because I have been on a budget at times. I have been on tight time schedules where I just can't really afford to just drop a whole couple $100 and just buy all these nuts and seeds like you see on some of these videos of people that have been succeeding on this for lots of years, and they got big huge bags of walnuts and and people are like, how am I going to do that? So you don't start off that way. You don't have to have the Excalibur dehydrator. When I started out, before I had gotten the Excalibur dehydrator, I saved up for a little dehydrator. It's the little round one that you can just cut up potatoes, soak the potatoes so you get the starch out, and stick them in there. And I think it costed me about $50, maybe $60, something like that. And at that time, that was all I could afford. And so I went to, I think it was Bed and Bath or something, and I got that. And I couldn't make things like pizza and all that in it because it has that little hole in the middle, and you can't lay flat bread and things like that. But the point is that at that time, I was used to being able to crunch on something that I wanted to have something for a snack. And that's one thing that I think is important too, is if you're somebody who likes crunchy stuff like I used to, that was probably one of my biggest downfalls. I didn't eat chips and things, but I love to have crackers or something that I can have that crunchiness and dip it into something. So what I had started doing is making some sweet potato chips and things in that thing, and they would come out really crispy. Matter of fact, I haven't done that in quite a few years that I even make those anymore. But, at that time, that was something that helped me to succeed, because if I would have gotten hungry for something like that, and I would have grabbed for something in a box, it wouldn't have been good because those boxes are full of oils and all kinds of garbage. So the first thing you want to do is get rid of garbage and replace it for things that you're going to enjoy. Well, maybe you don't like potato chips. What do you like? You can find out that there is every single thing that you enjoyed that you can figure out a way to make it happen. People have cut pineapples, apples even. I've seen people put apples in the dehydrator and make chips out of them. Just because you have to be able to have something when you feel that urge. So these things are tips that I think are so important. I think that these are #1 tips to success and strategies that will work if you expedite them, if you use them and you are willing to do these things, if you're willing to make these changes, if you're willing to sit down and figure out your priorities and get everything organized. Get everything organized first. Figure out what things are most important and put together your list. List of things to get rid of, list of things to have, and you will conquer it. So I hope that this has helped somebody, and I'm just going to go ahead and close with that, and I'm going to read this out of Proverbs, and it's chapter 28, verse 25, and it says, "He who trusts in the Lord will be prospered." So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and have a wonderful, blessed day.